English?
Yes, please.
Yes. Good afternoon, and everybody. Really, I'm very glad and honored, really, to be with you tonight to discuss a very important topic. In this topic, we would like to begin with, after thanking Mrs. Annie first for giving me this chance to speak to your Rotary Club in Amman, Jarrar. And as part of Rotary International, I'm very honored to have it. This actually, when I look at Rotary Club of Amman, Jarrar, and your motto, I realize that you put service above self, and this is exactly one of my top themes when I talk about civic citizenship, which is our topic today. So maybe this is a good introduction to begin with the online civil citizenship. As you can see from the title, we can divide it into different themes here. We can talk about education in general, and then we can discuss the online education and the problems we are facing nowadays. And then the theme of citizenship and civic citizenship. And this poses the question whether there is citizenship without being civic or not. This is very philosophic here. Now, education, as you all know, is a process that when we work on it, we talk about the idea of facilitating learning. So this is part one. We talk about learning and how to facilitate learning. Second, we talk about the acquisition of knowledge. And here we talk about psychology and knowledge management. Also, we consider the idea of skills and values and beliefs and habits. And when we talk about civics and civilization, knowledge here, we talk in different topics. We don't only concentrate on knowledge, we concentrate also on skills, values, and beliefs. And this is what makes it very difficult in education when tackling this topic. And any educator is supposed to concentrate on what we call educational methods. Now, I'm just defining the terms here to enable us continue the ideas. Now, in educational methods include teaching, training, even storytelling, discussion, that's what we are doing now, and directed research. And this is what usually others work on if they want to continue their researches. I'm talking here about youth and the educators themselves. Now, one of the, maybe you heard or saw this before, one of the major thinkers and scientists here, Einstein, he has a saying that goes with what we are discussing today. He said, education is not the learning of facts. He said it's rather the training of the mind to think. And here we are talking about the idea of how to provoke and promote critical thinking in the minds of our kids and youth that we are teaching, whether I'm talking here about two parts, whether we are talking about schools or in higher education or in universities. And this gives us an idea about the question that says, what about learning and the theme of unlearning? Some people say that nowadays we have a real problem, not in learning. We are facing real problems in unlearning, which means that we have some problematic ideas, or some facts that prove to be not a fact anymore, or ideas or values that are concerned with, for example, hatred and violence that we want to unlearn. And this is the habit that we want to focus on in this field of civic knowledge and civic education in general. Now, as you can see here in this chart, you can see the word origin. Originally, it is taken here as an image. It's not me who has written this. Okay, I did not type it. So you can see the word origin, the originally taken from the Latin words, which defines education. Education is in Latin educare, and educare means to nourish. When we say to nourish, we mean nourishing the soul and mind in English, okay? And of course, the soil, you nourish the soil. And taking the mind and the soul of the kids or the youth, with nourishing them with knowledge, or with ideas, or with feelings. And also the second part of education is in educure. In Latin, it means to lead forth. And here comes the idea of leadership in education. So it's nourishing and leadership, and educatum, which is the act of teaching itself. Now, Mahatma Gandhi, for example, I took him as an example here. He defined education in terms of development and thinking of what is the best in the child, and he thought of 4 parts. He thought of physical, mental, social, and spiritual. So when we talk about education, we talk about the 4 parts. Now, what do we do in our schools in Jordan or in our university curricula? We are working on teaching what we said, the Teaching Act. So teaching civic education in Jordan, we have certain, in education, you always have to think about expected outcomes, or what you call expected results. So what do you do here? We concentrate on knowing the relevant aspects in the contemporary history of Jordan. So they know what is the history of Jordan, what is the Great Arab Revolt, what is the Emirate of Transjordan, and the unity of 2 banks, the Arabization, the Jordan Army, and so on. So it's part of it, is, as you can see, is knowledge, purely knowledge, history and knowledge related to the United Kingdom of Jordan. Now, the other part, as you can see, is understanding concepts. So it's philosophic and political. So it's concepts of political system. It's about civil society and challenges that we are facing. Part of it is economic, social, political, and of course, democracy is one of the main things that we are trying to let them concentrate on and understand. And we concentrate also on building the student's personality. This is the third outcome that is expected. Concentrate on the personality and the manners, their mentality, their spiritual balance, and to guarantee that it's free of extremism. Extremism in all its senses, political and others. Now, to achieve the outcomes, different plans were taken as routes, whether in schools or in university. I'm giving you here one of the examples in our university, which is Philadelphia University. And by the way, it sticks to what is given by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research. So what I'm giving you here, what you can see here, is a sample of what is being taught in all universities, with the difference in the teaching method, or the professor who is teaching that. For example, I do it in a different way maybe from others. I don't concentrate on knowledge, I concentrate on values and ideas to discuss, and maybe feelings to change. So just to take an idea, for example, we have different chapters. For example, chapter 1, it concentrates, as you can see, on the foundation of national education, what is citizenship, what about the rights and duties and democracy and the rule of law. Chapter 2, they concentrate on geography and population, and again here you can see the data and the knowledge that is given here is purely that they already have taken in schools. So it's geography, natural resources, society and population, and also administrative divisions in Jordan. So till now we are talking about knowledge. Chapter 3, it's history of Jordan, civilization and modern Arab Renaissance. Chapter 4, it's building the modern Jordanian state, independence, Arabization of the army, Jordanian-British treaty, Jordan and international alliances and coalitions, Jordan and Arab relations, and the real Jordanian Renaissance. Chapter 5 is structure of political system and Jordanian constitution, and development and authorities. So till now, chapter 5, we are talking about simply knowledge, as you can see. 6, civil society and political parties, civil society and women and political life and political parties. Here we begin to talk about something that needs analytical thinking. Chapter 7, it's internal and external challenges facing Jordan. And they try here to begin to give some solutions to question ideas about the political challenges, the risks and economic challenges that we are facing in Jordan and the Arab countries, the problem of corruption and cultural challenges, the environmental and education challenges, till we reach the problems of terrorism and extremism. And of course, Amman message is given as an example of good acting in Jordan as against terrorism. Now, so here I gave you the different views of how our structure is based in when teaching this. Now, I thought, when I thought about this, as Annie told me last time, I thought that we would maybe it's a good idea to relate this knowledge or this information with the problem, which is the online and the education system in Jordan. So I wanted to give you an idea about what's happening. For example, we have an index, I'm sure you heard about it, an index which is called Freedom of Education Index. And I'm giving you here just an example which is on 2018, and of course it is now we have the 2020 index. Sorry, but I wanted to let you see this version, because here you can see the real problem that we are facing in Jordan and in the Arab world. It says this. It says that in global context, the Arab states' freedom of education, there's something that is called the arithmetic means, which is which shows that the Arab countries' arithmetic means was 45 point, while the global means was 55, and you can see the difference. We have 10 points in gap between us and the global number. And also, if we want to talk about the Arab countries in relation to our situation, and I took here Lebanon and Jordan, in 2018, we were much better than now, and now we are so deteriorating. Only Lebanon and Jordan, where we have 5, we find that we were above that one of the Arab states, with a small difference, not that much above. And for Lebanon, it was 4 points above, and for us it was 2 points above. From when I say above the 45, okay. But now Jordan deteriorated about 6 points, and as you all may know, we have, for example, Emirates and such countries, and also Lebanon, because what's happening now politically, they are deteriorating. So now we are still in the back of the let's say the ladder. We and Jordan and Sudan and countries like Egypt, for example, are much better than us, and this is a pity, because we were one of the best countries in the region in this area. Now, I also wanted to, because we are talking about civic education. I thought, as I do try to teach it in university, in my university, that when I give them this topic, I try to relate it to the global theme, which is concentrating on human development for everyone, and you can realize that this goes with your mottos and logo in Rotary. We have a human development for everyone, and here it's a 5-point action agenda. I teach this topic usually to my students, those who are specializing in development studies. So I try always to relate this to development, not only to give them the topic as knowledge and information as all other students in other departments and faculties take it. So we relate it to, as you can see, 5 parts or what we call point action agenda. We start with identifying those who face human development deficits and map where they are. And then we try to focus on what we call the availability of policy options and whether they are coherent or not. And then we try to let them see we should concentrate on closing the gender gap and to work on different reforms in the global system together, so as to reach the implementation of sustainable development in Jordan and in coherence with the global agreements in general. And this is the structure, as you may all know, of the Sustainable Development Goals. We have 17 goals. And here, in this part, I'm talking here about the 4th, which is, now we have the quality of education. And we relate it, whenever we talk about education and civic education and development, we relate it to other Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, we call them. And we cannot work on each without talking about the others. So they are in relation to each of the topics that you can see here. So we concentrate on the idea of equality and how it is related to the situation of poverty and zero hunger and health. Of course, especially nowadays because of this pandemic, the COVID-19 that affected the problem of health and how it's affecting the well-being and also affecting the quality of education, as we can see. Especially this topic that has to be tackled in a way so different than other topics that they can take in classes. Especially, I'm not talking now about the scientific stream. I'm talking about the other topics in other specialties. So we concentrate on all, as you can see, the clean energy, the sanitation system, the economic growth, industry, how to reduce inequalities, as I mentioned before, the gap between different species and generations and men and women, and sustainable cities and communities, and consumption and production responsible, how to be responsible, the climate action, okay, till we reach the problems that we are facing in the Arab world, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. This is the main issue, which is number 16 as a goal that we concentrate on in our civic education. This is how it should be, okay? And we keep on saying that this should be taking part in participation with others. So to fulfill any goal, you have to work in partnership with others, okay? Now, just to go to zoom in and talk about quality education, which is the 4th goal, we consider the following. We say the goal says ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. This goal is not easy. So when we discuss it, we try to split it or consider it through different sub goals or subcategories. Number one, and this is what I'm saying here is international. By 2030, the quality of education should ensure that all girls and boys, for example, complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education that leads to relevant and effective learning outcomes, as I mentioned before, the learning outcomes that we expect for this topic. And by 2030, we should ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development. And here in Jordan, I know that from one of my colleagues that they are beginning in working on this, the childhood development and care and primary education. I mean in government schools, not in the private schools. So we are still having a real problem in this area. And also to ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including university. Again, we are having a problem here in the education in universities. I know many students that I teach that they are suffering to earn their money so as to teach themselves. So this is a real problem that should be tackled by the government. Also, substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical, vocational skills and employment, and to have decent jobs and entrepreneurship. Now, every one of such goals is a journey if we want to work on it in Jordan. Now, here are the challenges that we are facing in Jordan in the educational process. For example, I'm sure that some of you may know most of them, that we have problem in the low level of general education, especially when we talk about the results that we can see for students in different ages, in languages and arts and sciences, social sciences and fine arts. Fine arts is a real problem here. We don't concentrate on fine arts at all. I have one of my books, I'll talk about them at the end. It tackles this area, the fine arts. Because as you know, that working on arts may help in civic education. And the small share of the Ministry of Education, when they discuss the budgets in the government, you can see that the Ministry of Education, as all research also, and higher education, Ministry of Higher Education and Research, we are facing a problem here, while other countries are concentrating on this to prosper and to reach the goals. Also, the lack of educational and behavioral training for many teachers, للأسف, and the increase in the number of students. If you consider it, at the same time we don't have that speed enough in the building of schools. So we still need more schools to be built. We are having a very crowded class in government schools, and that is also in universities, in government universities, as for example the weak infrastructure also. This may make a real problem in the technical field, especially if we want to talk about online education, and this is what we faced in this pandemic. The last sessions I was giving in Philadelphia University, I was facing a real problem with my students to be able to follow me online. They were having problems not having PCs, not having the internet connection, and this is a real problem. This should be really guaranteed for all students. Now, so if you think about the development of technology, this would give us or provide a challenge for education system, and this is what we are facing. One of our ministers in education field once said that let's have computers in all classes. And they took, without mentioning the name, they have that offer, but unfortunately, in one of the remote areas and vulnerable areas, let's say, there was a problem in electricity. So they were all damaged, and it was winter. So unfortunately, the problem of infrastructure is very important here to deal with technology challenges in education. And that's why we have to build safe and trusting also relationship among students and educators in an online collaboration. And here, this idea is very important because we cannot guarantee who is on the other line. Is it my student or another person attending? As you may know that we were facing a real problem in the exams in Tawjihi because of that. Some of them said that they may be cheating, for example. So how can we guarantee trust in this? And how can we guarantee that this is the professor that who is talking and not another one? Different problems we are facing here. It's not only the problem with, by the way, the students, also the professors. Some of them were not up to the level of using technology for education. Now, as you can see here, this is what we call the tree of education, which is, it concentrates on, the availability of the large amounts of information, of knowledge. It's a prerequisite. We know that. But we are having here a problem in the idea of evaluation and accountability, as I told you before. Evaluation, are we on the right route? Are we on the right journey? Is it the right way that it should be tackled? Are we having people that are capable enough? And that should be accountable. Now, the quality of education systems here, this is very central and fundamental. And again, this helps, or this affects, the income, the employability, and health and family structure. But it has very an input, let's say, or effect on the economic growth and the poverty levels and the social justice, which is one of the main themes to maintain when I talked about the 17 sustainable goals in the beginning. So when I say education, I should think about how to make people healthier also. So you relate it with other goals, how to raise crop yields, how to promote girls and women also rights, how to save children's lives, how to increase their income later when they work, how to reduce the poverty and foster peace and boost economic growth. So all ideas here are tackled in civic education, and it is a result that comes out of the system itself. So we are saying here that civic education through e-learning, some people say it's e-learning in higher education. By the way, if maybe you know, and especially those who are living abroad in Canada or USA, that the e-learning was first created in 1998, and we are just beginning now in Jordan. Let's face the truth that this is the first year that we are using online. They used to use what is called blended education, which is a combination of more than one type. But this is the first time, because of the crisis, the pandemic crisis we are facing. So from 1990, they say that the digital learning and the e-learning started to take off, leading the way into a digital realm of education. And by the way, this is a very stunning fact. They say that from 2000, there has been imagine the 900% growth in the e-learning. So you can imagine how late and slow we are in this process for our kids and our youth generation to be able to catch up with e-learning in other countries, other developed countries. Now, we're going to go back to the ideas of civic education. And based on what we have said or learned now on online education, the problem comes more and more. I don't want to say it doubles or triples. You can add the numbers here. To have active and responsible citizenship, we need to build a person, youth, educated enough to promote the rights, to reach or to act successfully in democracies that depend on their rights and their critical thinking here. And this is the problem. So the problem is when I discuss with them the concept of citizenship with my students, for example, and this is not my problem, it's a problem everywhere in universities and schools also, they even have problems in knowing, it's not the language, it's understanding the concepts, it's philosophy. So they, for example, they mix between the idea of belonging and loyalty. So, and you know that citizenship is based on major two pillars, let's say belonging and loyalty. So they have misunderstanding in this, and this make a real problem. And you know that in the provisions of the Constitution, of the law, we do concentrate on those two ideas. Now also, let me talk about the civic education in the online space, as you mentioned, Annie, in the beginning, what we say the space. Now the Google Classroom, the results show that civic education through the e-learning using Google Classroom, for example, has increased students to be able to use critical thinking and to be creative and innovative. And for that, I use it. I began to use it. I used it before the pandemic in my classes. I have for every course that I teach a closed group, not only on Google, on Facebook, and I have a WhatsApp group also, and YouTube. I have YouTube channel that I deliver on different ways of the materials to present them, the necessary ideas to be discussed. So they have, they always, as for me, I don't have a problem, but I know what's happening with my colleagues, that some of them are not up maybe to the usage of such Google Classroom. Now, the use of Google also gives freedom to college students to learn activities and to create learning media and implement, the practicing of it. And as you can see, we when we talk about online education, especially in the area of citizenship and the field of citizenship, we have what we call 3x3 model. And what is this 3x3 model? It is it's one of the best models that is promoted to be used for the 21st century citizenship, which goes for concentrates on three words: to be informed, engaged, and active. So we want the student or our youth generation to be informed of citizenship, which is knowledge, to be engaged, and here we talk about here we consider the ideas of the habits and the values, and to be active. Some of them are engaged but not active. This is why, for example, I have considered one of the initiatives with my students. It was called مبادرة وطنية لصالحة وفعالة. بمعنى we wanted to be informed, engaged, and active. It works on civic literacy, this is knowledge, and digital citizenship, which is now it's a very important part that the government has to take care of, because if we are not having control and guidance through digital citizenship, through our channels in schools and universities, we will lose them, this generation. So as to work towards global engagement and to work with humanity in general, in passion and with love and peace. So, if education is the way to learning civics and democracy, The online communities and the diverse students can learn the skills of civil dialogue. And this is essential, very essential to democracy. Which means that we are having here a problem, you can see in those who are living in Jordan here, that we are having, in the Arab world, we are having a problem in dialogue. Dialogue in all levels. Dialogue within families, dialogue within schools and universities, and in work, in every level, in our departments, in government departments, in the political system, everywhere. And in media, it's very clear, and in social media. So schools and universities should make substantial investments in this, in technology. And the online platforms here have to take a better role in creating diverse communities where students can learn and participate in civil dialogue. And for example, if I make any lecture or deliver any lecture or attend any conference, I try always to have my students with me as long as I can. This is why I asked Annie at the beginning, is it possible to record this? Because I will share it for the benefit of them. Because now online platforms is the most essential thing for our students, our kids and young generation to benefit and to share. They are better users of technology than us. I mean, my age. So let me say that creating and joining online spaces to nurture civic competences and dialogue across differences. So we concentrate on use of compelling content to explore differences, how to build educators and educator relationship first, and to create space for sharing and allow students to express themselves, and of course intentionally solicit diverse participants. And to do this, let me tell you what's happening with me. I have different books. I have about 30 books. Some of them, I just here have put some of them that relate to this topic. So I tried in my research and in my writings to work on development related to education and to excellence in education. And that was a proposal for, not only for Jordan, it's also to the Arab world for appraisal and for renaissance in education. Also, before that, I have a book called المواطن العالمية, which is global citizenship. And by the way, this is the only Arabic book that you can find if you want to Google مواطنة عالمية or global citizenship. You'll be astonished to see that you will find no book at all unless this one, because all what you have on net in Google, when you search in the Arabic language, it's all about تربية وطنية. It's not مواطنة عالمية. And you know the difference when you talk about national civics and global citizenship. A big difference. We want them to work towards that. And that was, of course, not only me. It was headed by a group of professors that I was overwhelmed to be one of the writers and co-authors with them, with Dr. Saeed Ittal, who was a very well-known professor. And each one of the professors took part of the chapters that I will let you know now. Also, we have another book on national education for the Arab world that concentrates on a view of, let's say, progress and development. I have a passion toward what we call ethical and moral and humanitarian education. So, and I wanted it to be as part of the curricula in schools and universities, but unfortunately I already sent it to different ministries, but nothing was done for this, unfortunately. But in my classes, I always teach with the passion and with the educational and moral education and humanitarian values to be given. And this one is my last book, very recently published, and it talks about civic education and citizenship. How I suggested another title for it. It says education, national education, Jordan as a model. But I suggested also if I can add here a subtitle, education, civic education as should be. So I try to formulate how it should be given. And we have taught, as you can see here, 16 chapters. This is only, sorry, I want to go back to that slide. 16 chapters. The first one, it talks about comprehensive overview of a national education. Okay. And then personal education, family education, health, art, moral, social, economic, environmental, vocational, civic, political, national, religious, and human education. So I try to put my ideas here to include them in the human education and in the art education, and we have in addition to the political education, of course, the moral education. And and a special topic was to the Jordanian state. By the way, this book is not taught now. It's just a proposal, and it is sent to the Ministry of Higher Education, and it is sent to some of our universities. But unfortunately, we have a problem that the structure that I let you see just moments was only concentrating on chapter 1 and chapter 16. So what we teach to our students, according to the rules of the ministry right now, whether I'm talking about schools and universities, all what it concerns is chapter 1 and chapter 16, which is Jordanian state and national education. While the others from 2 to 15, which is very important to me to build, if you want to change the values and to affect the habits of the young generation, so as to be really as we can say up to the level, and it really needs more effort. So just to conclude, I would like to say that certain ideas need rethinking, such as rethinking education, reimagining education to give solutions. We may use unlearning techniques. We may need more development for citizen or civil citizenship and sustainable development, to concentrate more on sustainable development, and especially in times of crisis where we need more or better risk management. And by this, I would like to thank you for giving me the time to be with you this night. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Really, thank you. Thank you for a very comprehensive approach in dealing this topic, very sensitive topic. And of course, I will give the floor now to my fellow Rotarian past President Jarrar to moderate the Q&A session. And the floor is yours.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, President Amani. Good evening. Just a quick note that has nothing to do with the lecture. I think I know your sister, Dr. Amani, Dr. Layla.
She's my cousin. We have the same father name. Yeah. I only have one brother who lives in USA, in Washington D.C. Bashar. He's called Bashar Jarrar, and he's known in media nowadays. I will share his name to Annie. Maybe if you want to make another session with him, he would love to, because he's engaged in peace issues. He is specialized in peace also.
It's really our pleasure. Anyway.
Thank
if
you,
you see her, give her my best.
Thank you.
Thank you for your informative speech. I will ask, the first question is for past President Afif. Afif, please go ahead.
Thank you, زميل رمزي. دكتورة يعطيك العافية.
الله يعافيك، شكرا.
سؤالي أنا related للجول 4 لما حكيت عن quality education.
نعم.
who mentioned by 2030. 2030, it's 10 years from now.
Right.
And I see it quite a long period إنه نحكي عن الeducation لسه بعد 10 سنين.
Yes. I don't know بدكم نبدأ نجاوب any one by one ولا نسمعهم كلهم؟ كيف السيستم؟
في مجال بس to stop sharing so that we can see each other, please. Can you please stop sharing your presentation?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, fellow Rotarian Ramzi is the moderator, so you can discuss with him.
Whatever you prefer, Dr. Amani.
Thank you. Let me begin with this, if you accept. Maybe the answer would solve some of the questions that we may hear later. Mr. Afif, I think the fourth goal, not only the fourth goal, we have the 17 goals in sustainable development goals, international goals. They are given till 2030. It is meant to be this way because when we talk about 10 years ahead, you are working on a vision, what should be done globally. So I know this is a very difficult situation that we are facing in Jordan, but it is meant, when you talk about planning, we have different levels of planning. You have planning for 1 year, which is actually what we try to do in Jordan, but we are not succeeding even in this because I used to be in government. I know what happens, and we have and upon that, that we have the evaluation that happens from the government, from the parliament, of course, for the government work. And we have the 3 years and the 5 years and the 10 years. So we have different levels. The 10 years is some of them make it 50, by the way. But to be applicable and to be able to work on it within a plan, they try to make it till 10 years so that you can see the difference. You can build on the levels of work, how it is evaluated, how as I mentioned before, for 2 years, and it makes a real difference in some areas. Some areas it won't be clear. So it's a culmination of the situation itself. This is what happens. But of course, you can lessen the period, the 10 years, and you say every 2 years we have, or every 1 year actually. So it builds yearly, and then maybe 2 years, every 2 years, every 5 years, and so on. And here I consider what used to be in the planning ministry, the planning ministry in Jordan. They used to work on 5 years, if you remember, 5 years of planning. To me, that was the best, because we were excellent. His Royal Highness Hassan, when he was working on that excellently. Unfortunately, now they are working on year by year, and again, they are not doing it the right way. So hopefully that we can do well. But the UN system, when I said 2030, this is the UN system. So our organizations in the UN system is working this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
في سؤال عندي إذا بتسمحي لي
تفضل.
دكتورة. بالنسبة للبيت civic education لها علاقة في البيت، خاصة بجوز كمان بقدر أحكي بالأمهات. جربتوا إنه بجوز ثقفنا الأمهات عندنا في البلد كلها، بجوز أولادهم الأولاد اللي بيطلعوا يطلعوا مثقفين إلى آخره. يعني شو رأيكم؟ ما بعرف.
يعني قصدك إذا أنا فهمت السؤال مظبوط، قصدك شو دور تعليم الأمهات حتى to help in educating.
Exactly. لأنه تقدر الcivic education لها علاقة كثير في البيت كمان.
Yes. And this is why سيد رمزي أنا جدا إذا فهمتك صح، this is why حطينا إحنا واحد من التوبكس اللي أنا suggested at the end in my book with my colleagues one of the topics was talking about family. إذا انتبهت إذا كان اسمه family عن الأسرة اللي يعني اللي هي family education لأنه the basis begins with the family. The base is in the family. هلا you can see أنا بفتخر بقول إني أنا بنت رهبات الوردية مثلا. Okay, for example درست برهبات الوردية بس unless my family يعني promotes the values تبعت المدرسة I can do nothing. ما بيطلع معي هذا الكلام ولا وإذا كانت الجامعة does not promote the values تبعت السكولز كمان ما بقدر كلياته يعني بيركب على بعضه. So the family is very important. هلا المشكلة إحنا ما في عنا بالgovernment schools بصراحة تركيز على إنه الأهل يعلموهم بس هلا هذا it should begin بالسيستم بالchildhood اللي حكيت عنه قبل شوي إنه childhood education اللي هن بيهتموا فيه بالجولز بالeducational goal اللي هو الفورث goal على مستوى UN هن بيركزوا على family education واصلا انتم بتعرفوا كلكم انه الفاميلي الاونلاين education معظم الاهل يعني usually parents are involved يعني ما بتلاقي parents هن اللي عم بيشتغلوا مع اهاليهم اكثر من teachers or professors. So I agree with you, I totally agree, but I don't think انه according to what we have هلا بالبادجت تبعت اللي allocated لل ministries of education and of higher education according to their priorities this is not of the priorities unfortunately but it should be this way. Yes, thank you. ما بعرف إذا جاوبت سؤالك.
نعم أستاذ رمزي. Thank you very much. President Annie.
Yes.
Thank you. دكتورة بس بدي أسأل حضرتك أنت لاحظت إنك أنت كثير مهتمة بالدراسات ونحن كنا عم نحكي عن online and civic education. هل تم هناك أي دراسة على الإمباكت تبعت الأونلاين education على citizenship؟
Yeah.
لا. اللي عم بلاحظ إنه أوكي بالأردن نحن we do so many things, we introduce lovely ideas, but to what extent we are achieving the impact زي ما تفضلتي إنه يتناسب مع الجولز تبع UN goals.
Yes.
Has there been any?
Yeah. Thank you. مزبوط كلامك مس أني اللي عم بيصير إنه إحنا ما في عنا مشكلة in general في العالم العربي وإن جوردن in specific في موضوع evaluation of goals عنا يا كتير غلط وما بنشغل بجدية not seriously. هلا UN شو بيعملوا لما بيشتغلوا معنا أي برنامج أي program for example عم بحكي UN organizations as an example يعني any program or project they try to work with us to make sure that our evaluation is correct. So they train us how to evaluate, train the government, I mean by us here the government, in the way they plan. Now as you said, you're right, we don't have really and I work on evaluation of researchers internationally. Okay, all the in this time all what I faced only I faced 4 researchers. They were all from developed countries, from developing countries, and from Jordan. None at all. All of them are working on health now because of the pandemic, rather than any other areas. And this is what you are really facing now as a problem because vulnerable people. People, women and kids and old people also are facing a real problem in this because nobody is evaluating. Although I don't want to أنسى جهد statistics department دائرة الإحصاءات العامة عنا together with the Ministry of Planning they work on this but it's not efficient and not enough, let's say. So, and I face a problem if I want to gather any information and data in this area to work on a research.
دكتور أماني بس أنا بدي أربط الملاحظة اللي حكاها زميلي رمزي إنه نحن مثلا we work in the field of the early childhood development, okay, and we provided some sort of online support during COVID, education support to the parents. بس لاحظنا لما عملنا impact عملنا زي نوع من client satisfaction very similar very simple client satisfaction. حسينا قديش في هناك تحديات عند الأسر انهم يدعموا اهاليهم. they were not educated. صار في gap. لانه نحن عشان هيك كنت حابين نركز الاونلاين education to what extent. يعني اللي بفهم من حضرتك انه it was successful اذا كان في infrastructure مضبوط، اذا كانت الانفايرمنت مضبوط. بس اللي حكاه زميل رمزي كثير مهم، انه في هناك جاب كبير بين الجنريشن وبين الاهالي. So we need to focus a lot in educating and providing the parents with the technical tools and the technology مش بس الانفراستراكشر حتى يقدروا يتواصلوا مع اهل. نحن لانه الان انا باعتقادي عم بزيد الجاب بين الجنريشن.
يعني بأيد كلامك 100%. بس يعني بس اضيف على هذا لسه الجاب اكبر. يعني تخيلي انه يكون هذا الجاب بين الستودنت وبين البروفيسور او التيتشر. يعني even the teachers and professors most of them حتى أكون يعني أنا يعني realistic و fair enough, most of them were not up to it. يعني كانوا ال students أحسن من teachers and professors, believe me. يعني إذا بدي أعمل لك إحصائية تخيل توقع يعني بدها دراسة, let's say من كل 10 بجوز يطلع عندي 3 professors up to it. تخيلي. وهذا عم بحكي بناس عن مستوى معهم PhD يعني holders, ما عم بحكي على مستوى الأقل. كل ما نزلنا في مستوى التعليمي كل ما كان عندك المشكلة أكبر. طبعا add to this الآيديا اللي حكينا عنها قبل شوي, موضوع poverty. some of the students عندهم الإمكانية بس they don't have the money عشان إنهم يدرسوا, يكون عندهم كهرباء, يكون عندهم لابتوبس, يكون عندهم إنترنت connection. يعني أنا كنت أعاني مع طلابي إنه دكتورة بدنا بس مش لاقيين, مش عارفين شو نعمل, بفصل الخط, ما عنديش. تخيل إني يشتغل على تليفونه, يعني it's very difficult. طالب يشتغل على تليفونه بدل كمبيوتر, يعني أنا ما تخيلت هيك بهذا العمر كون طالب جامعة. يعني بصراحة disastrous الوضع عشان to face it. يعني دخلت كتير مشاركات في نقاش مع جهات كانت تدعوني لكونفرنسز وندوات وكانوا يحكوا بطريقة كتير فيها تجمل, وكان مرة ناس بمدح حتى الوزير, كان موجود واحد من الوزراء. أنا حكيت قلت لهم بكفينا نتجمل, خلينا نواجه الحقيقة, نحكي إيش اللي موجود عنا, ليش نتجمل؟ بالعكس أنت عندك وزير فرصة تحكي قدامه المشكلة عشان هو لازم يلاقي الحل. ما بنمدح وبنشكر وبنحكي والأخير كل هذا at the expense of vulnerable people, ونلاقي على حساب الأردن وعلى حساب إيش ممكن الأردن لازم كيف حتى يتحسن. يعني this is the idea.
Yes. Thank you. Another question, fellows.
تفضل.
I think في حدا بده سؤال. I think the floor is yours, Annie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
بدي أطلب هلا من زميل باست بريزيدنت عفيف بس يعني يعطي كلمة شكر اللي نحن متعودين عليه دائما باسم الروتري كلاب.
يعني وجوهكم كلها شكر, شكرا لكم.
زميل عفيف.
في الواقع دكتورة أول شيء يعطيك العافية.
الله يعافيك.
Thank you for your time in sharing with us such information which was very very informative وستريست على توبيك كلنا عم نواجهه هلا بالوضع اللي عم موجود في البلد وبكل العالم. It was really informative.
Thank you.
وبالنيابة عن رئيس وأعضاء نادي روتري عمان جرش بنوجه لك شكر خاص لمشاركتنا بهاي المحاضرة. وإحنا في العادة عادة لأي سبيكر بيجي عندنا بيكون في له سيرتيفيكيت وتكريم. أكيد بريزيدنت آني will handle it. Thank you very much. بنحب زي ما ذكرت رئيس آني إنك بتشرفينا إذا بتكوني عضو معنا بالنادي.
بتشرف.
استكمالا اللي حكاه زميل عفيف, طبعا الدكتوره زميلة ليلى دائما بتقول health يعني كل دائما عم نركز على الهيلث ولا لا زميلة ليلى؟ حضرتك انت حكيتي فيها انه حتى اليوم اجاني call for proposals. اوكي الاوتشا نزل call for proposals على ايش؟ basic needs, اكل وايجار, لا education لا counseling, مش عم حطوا اي مخصصات في هذا المجال. بس هذا عم بياكد على حضرتك اللي حكيتي فيه.
صحيح.
وكمان بالنسبه نحن حاولنا نعمل شهاده بسيطه بس هلا، بس نحن بشرفنا ان شاء الله يكون في لقاء فيزيكال دكتوره وأقدر لك حسب الاصول، بس حضرنا، بس زميل حسام بقدر يساعدني وين الشهاده زميل حسام.
شكرا لكم. أنا بحب أشكركم one by one يعني، وبشكر استاني على الدعوة. وعن جد أنا لما كنت صغيرة كنت أقرأ عن روتري وكنت بقول واو أوكي، فإتس جود يعني إنه I had a chance بعد هذا العمر إني أكون معكم وأحكي في موضوع كتير مهم بوجود حضراتكم اللي كل واحد فيكم خبرته أحلى من الثانية. Thank you really، عن جد غمرتوني بلطفكم. I would love to join your club يعني. بنشوف بعدين إذا بدك أي طريقة إنه، وبحب إني أقابلكم face to face إن شاء الله soon بأقرب فرصة. وأنا تحت تصرفكم إذا في أي موضوع تاني بتحبوا نحكي فيه بالمستقبل. It's my honor. Thank you.
زي ما قلتي الدكتورة، يعني الدكتورة زملائي إنه مهتمة كثير بالكريتيكال ثينكينج والإكستريميزم، إنه كيف نحن ممكن نخفف هذا الوطأ عن طريق إنه نوجههم بطريقة صح زي ما تفضلتي دكتورة. وهي طبعا بالنيابة من كل الزملاء شيء بسيط على القليل، نحس إنه فعلا نحن قدرناكي لو زي ما تفضلتي كلمة بسيطة منا. وإن شاء الله نحكي بالفيزيكال
يكون في تواصل بعد هيك إن شاء الله. شكرا.
أكيد دكتورة، شكرا لك.
Thank you. مع السلامة. Thank you.
وشكرا للزملاء. يعني أي ملاحظة قبل ما نغلق الجلسة؟
Thank you.
Thank you يا جماعة.
مع السلامة، يعطيكم العافية. تصبحوا على خير. مع السلامة.
يلا باي باي.
للجميع.